I know there's a lot of you that watching this show for many years. And I mean, during the year, I had some beautiful requests regarding Bitcoin. So I analyzed Bitcoin for my clients, but trade it, unfortunately not well. What I did the other day, I actually went tiny short, and to give you an idea, the position was so small that if Bitcoin had to fill about $1,500, I will make about 100 Rand. So I walked away with, I don't even think a buy and a when the market Bitcoin came back. But let's have a look at this chart. And I mean, there's a lot of people that saying this is the future, this is where the real money is, and this is where the money is going to be made. And I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin, the other day it was at around, let's call it 66,000, 65,690. What was the story about 2020? Was that early in this year, Bitcoin was just, if you look at this 40-week moving average, it floated just above this level of, let's call it 8,467. When it took off, I mean, there's the line that I watched earlier in the year, and I thought to myself, well, maybe it can give us a little bit of a relief bounce, because this year, the market just surprised all of us. There was just always a surprise in the market. Now, there's the level, that little line. That line was sitting at 12,350. When it started going there, look at this lamp pole formation. It pulled back a little bit, and it went straight up almost in, well, you can almost say in 2-3 months, from $12,000 to $57,000. So, yes, if you were in this market, you made a lot of money. What I did see is, if you look at Bitcoin's chart, you must accept that it can give these wild swings. Now, a lot of analysts actually say if you trade Bitcoin, it's almost like you're trading a wild horse, or you must remember that it is exactly the same as other commodities. Now, I'm not agreeing with that, because I believe other commodities, at least if it starts to go, you can almost analyze it. Remember, what is behind Bitcoin? Bitcoin is just a piece of paper, and like a fiat currency, and other people will say, but Frans, the dollar is fiat currency, and the rand is fiat currency. There's no real currency left except for gold. But what's interesting about Bitcoin, you must always remember, but who owns that? Is there a country that's backing it? And unfortunately not. Bitcoin is an instrument, and I see that a lot of people almost say that it has a role to play in some portfolios. I mean, what a rally. And for me personally, if you're still involved with Bitcoin, I will say, let's just have a look here on it. If you do that line there, I just want to draw it in there. And it came back the other day, but it must get, and I know there's a lot of traders that's buying Bitcoin and shorting and trading it. It must get above this support line, and that support line sits at 52,530. If it doesn't get above 52,530, my eye will be on this 40-week moving average, and that is sitting at 48,653. If that is the case, I will be very nervous if that turns into a resistance. Now, some guys always say, Frans, look at Bitcoin, it does this classic 5-wave Elliott. So there's your 1, 2, 3, 4. They say it must make this massive 5 all the way above 70,000 US dollars, and maybe a tiny pullback. What I've learned in the markets over the year, you always get wrong on the downside or even on the upside. You can never estimate that the share or an index will go that high or drop that low. So be careful about Bitcoin. It's not regulated by most countries in the world. Some people trade it, some people buy stuff on it. So I'm just nervous. But one of the stars of the year, 2021, doesn't matter who's saying what, it was Bitcoin. If we talk about Bitcoin, we must talk about Ethereum. This is a much healthier chart for me. And the reason why I'm saying that is, look at this base. Beautiful base in 2020. Started to make higher lows. Yes, we had this massive rally up. We had this massive rally down. What I like about it, at least you've got a support line that tells me that it goes up. All right. And if you look at that again, we've got another support line. Although it flattens out a little bit, and although it's warning because we're just testing that line, but at least I prefer a chart where if you've got a base, a rally, a pullback to a support line or a resistance, doesn't matter, and all the way up. So for me personally, if I look at Ethereum, I will say to myself, I want it above 4,155. While it's above that, yes, it is positive, and it can maybe surprise us. It can even go higher, because if it breaks above 4,678, yes, we can maybe go a lot higher. It can actually go to 5,000 US dollars. But for me, for medium to long-term investors, I always say if it's above this 40-week moving average of 2,994, momentum is to the top and things looks okay to me. Out of the two charts for me, to read it easier or to interpret it or to give an opinion on it, I think will be rather Ethereum than Bitcoin. Let us look at the Rand. I mean, the Rand is also volatile, but what I must say, with all the problems in South Africa, a lot of people thought that the Rand will now maybe trading close to 20 Rand to a US dollar. Remember, just before the massive sell-off in March 2020, the Rand was at around 16, 17 Rand. Then it went up all the way to 19 Rand. And look what it recovered all the way from 19, can you believe it, to 13 Rand 38 cents. Yes, it's back now at 15.86, 15.19, let's call it 16 Rand. For me, if I must compare the Rand to other currencies like the Turkish lira that was just, you can almost say, shot and left to pieces to devalue at 30%, 25%, I must say that the Rand was actually a lot stable this year. There's something that worries me, and it's this. I've seen this before. I've discussed it. I don't think I'm talking technical, but if you look at this chart, there is a 40-week moving average. What I don't like is this goodbye kiss. There's a classic goodbye kiss. In that case, it's not positive for the Rand, it's positive for the US dollar. It's negative to the Rand, that goodbye kiss. But look at this inverse head and shoulder. There's the left shoulder, there's the head, and there's the right shoulder. Now let's just do the projection here. From the neckline, from the head to the neckline, and you extend that a little bit, you can actually take the Rand to 1671. The other day it was about 1636. So I think what we're seeing here is we see a little bit of a pullback because I think we're in a weakening trend. Why do I say that? Because we're above the 40-week moving average. Above the 40-week moving average, the long-term investors will also say to you that the trend is for a weakening Rand. And if I look at this chart, while it remains above this neckline, 15 Rand 29, the trend is for a weakening currency. So yes, if you want to expose yourself more overseas, it's time to look at Rand hedges. It's maybe time to look at even new USD. So get instruments where you can actually help yourself by supporting a dollar domination, like British American Tobacco, AB InBev. The other day I heard that British American Tobacco is paying an 8% dividend. I mean, that's a beautiful dividend. And I mean, that's a classic Rand hedge. If I look at the Rand here, I'll get nervous when it starts to go above 16 Rand 32 again, because that will tell me we've got a low, a higher low, another higher low, all the way. It tells you that the trend is beautifully to the upside. Unfortunately, not for a stronger Rand, but for a weakening Rand. And that's why I think why these resource shares are so reluctant to drop. And the reason why I'm saying that, they're looking at this chart and they say to themselves, but listen, we must actually look at this, because if the Rand is going to carry on weakening and our commodity stocks just stay more or less intact, then we will probably see that our shares like the Anglo and the Billitons and the Kumbas and the Sassels of the world will actually surprise even more to the upside. Just keep in mind, the Rand can also swing. And I've said it before on a program, and even talking technical, I've said, if there's one instrument that is difficult to analyze, and it's for any technical guy that loves charts, it's always the Rand US dollar, because you can always believe that it can weaken or it can strengthen, and suddenly just something change. The best is then to say, whoa, let's just do a new sum and see. And what is important here, we often get that if you look at the Rand US dollar, when it rallies like this and it's weakening almost in a straight line, everybody comes to you and say, listen, I want to buy US dollars now. I want to get exposure overseas because I believe the Rand can go to 30 Rand or 34 Rand or whatever the case may be. I always say, if you want to accumulate dollars, then wait for these periods where the Rand is strong, and when it starts to bottom out, that's the place. Around 1358, maybe that pullback there, 1407, maybe that pullback, 1451. That's much better to buy US dollars around these levels than to go and buy it in panic mode close to 90 Rand, because then you will actually be wrong. Because what usually happens with the Rand, with any other currency, the moment you believe that this is going to carry on forever, it's right at that point where it starts to turn around and it surprises you and it goes all the way. And what I like about the Rand as well, look at this 40-week moving average. It tends always to come back to that 40-week moving average. And we've seen it before here. So use it as a guideline. Get some overseas exposure. Time yourself with the Rand only in strength, buying dollar, not in weakening of the Rand, because then you can burn your fingers. Well, visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we will chat again.